Here. Good morning. My name is Todd Coring. I'm the police chief for the city of Southport. First, this morning, I want to start off by saying that our prayers are with the families and the victims of this tragedy that we've had that occurred early this morning. So our thoughts and prayers remain with them and everybody that's been affected, our community, and those that were at the establishment when this unfolded. I want to also thank the outpouring of support that we've received from all of our law enforcement partners and community partners from across the state, for that matter. Behind me, you'll have remarks briefly from Sheriff Chisholm, Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, SBI Chris Brenzel, District Attorney John David, Chief Morris with the Oak Island Police Department, and Jenna Early, the first assistant with the District Attorney's Office. They're behind me today to try to be here to answer any questions we may have or talk this through this morning. So I want to start off on Saturday, December 27th, 2025 at approximately 9:30. Members of the Southport Police Department were dispatched to cause of shots fired with multiple injuries at the American Fish Company at 150 Yacht Basin Drive here in Southport. Reports came in rapidly of a boat sitting in the waterway. Reports of a subject shooting multiple patrons of the establishment. Unfortunately, 3 were wounded fatally. We have 5 injured that are at area hospitals still receiving care. The boat fled the ICW toward the Oak Island Bridge. Shortly after 10 p.m., the Coast Guard observed a single individual matching the description of the shooter, loading their boat at a public boat ramp in the area of Northeast 55th Street on Oak Island. Coast Guard crews detained the suspect, who was held at the Oak Island Police Department before being turned over to several members there, including the Southport Police Department, Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, Marine Fisheries, and the Oak Island Police Department. Also the SBI that were assisting us in these various locations. Suspect is a Nile Max Edge. He's been arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. There are additional charges pending. This is still a very active investigation, but there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you today before I turn it over to some of these individuals behind me. Some facts that we have at this time is that we believe that this was a targeted location. We appear that he acted in what we call a lone wolf. He acted alone. This is highly premeditated from what we're seeing at this time. And we feel there are no other threats to our community, that we do have someone in custody. So that's what's important, that I want the community to know, that we do have someone in custody and we feel like we have no other threats this time. Still a very active investigation. I want to point that out. We're asking that anyone who was at the establishment last night, those who may have been at the establishment on Friday night, to call our office, the Southport Police Department, at 910-457-7911. Again, when we arrived last night, it was a very chaotic scene. We had people that had fled the scene before officers were arriving. We did have some injured that walked into our local hospital here on Howe Street. So we are still trying to get these folks in. We need to talk to them. Anyone who may have video of the incident, we're asking you to reach out to our police department. Again, call us at 910-457-7911. We understand this suspect identifies as a combat veteran. He self-identifies. Injured in the line of duty is what he's saying, and he suffers from PTSD. We want to point those facts out. But again, the bottom line is that I want to assure our community that we feel like we do have our suspect in custody. And again, we're asking for your assistance. So those are 2 of the things I want to make sure and reiterate before I turn the microphone over to Sheriff Chisholm, to please call our office if you have any videos, or if you were there last night and we have not talked to you. We've been talking to multiple people. Again, we've had an outpouring of support from multiple agencies. Some 60 to 80 officers were here last night helping us, and we have still a lot of folks here that are continuing with its investigation. So at this time, I'll turn the mic over to Sheriff Chisholm.
Good morning. As Chief Cord mentioned, our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the family of the victims of this tragic incident. we stand with Southport PD. This is a place that I grew up, so it's a place that I hold near and dear to my heart, like many people in this room. And I want all of you in this room, I challenge you, do not let this define Southport. You have great men and women standing behind me, and I am so proud of my coworkers and Southport PD, the SBI, all the federal partners, Oak Island PD, everybody that came and responded and came together to get this guy in custody so quickly. I am very proud of them, and my heart goes out to them because they were here that had to see this. Just know that we have all of our resources and they're available to Southport PD. And I just want to thank all the partners that were there last night and the ones that are here today, and for their quick response and just the quick end to this tragedy. Thank you.
Charlie Morris, the Oak Island Police Department. Thank you, Sheriff. Just to reiterate a couple things that the Sheriff and Chief Coring said, we have a close-knit community here. I certainly do not want this incident to define who we are, because that is not us. This is a person that has acted alone. We feel confident right now, even though we're in the preliminary stages of the investigation, we feel like that this person acted alone and there's no one else involved. Last night, our witnesses that were on the scene observed a white center console boat travel south or southwest, leaving the area. Our Coast Guard partners were patrolling along with our sheriff's office and encountered a boat down at the 55th Street boat access in Oak Island. The officers got out and made contact with Mr. Edge, and as a result of that, during the investigation, he was detained and taken into custody. Another thing that I would like to reiterate is, yes, Nigel Edge is a resident of Oak Island. We are familiar with him at the police department. So I want to acknowledge that as well. So I don't think I have anything else, but God bless our victims. God bless our community. And we wish our victims that are suffered the injuries a speedy recovery.
Good morning, Chris Brenzel, Special Agent charged with the State Bureau of Investigation. I don't think it can be said enough, and I join our partners in offering our prayers to the families of the victims who were murdered and injured last night during these tragic events that happened in Southport. I want to thank the men standing behind me and all of our local, state, federal, and every other partner that we have, U.S. Coast Guard that responded last night. Without these partnerships, we would not be able to stand in front of you to announce the arrest of this individual today. I also want to commend the men and women from all over the county and all over the state that responded to this incident last night. It's through their hard work that we were able to make this happen. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is District Attorney John David. Evil has come ashore in Southport, North Carolina. Ironically enough, at the very place which once served as a backdrop to the movie Safe Haven. And that name is symbolic of the way in which the people in our community view this area. The thin veneer of peace and tranquility which has enveloped this idyllic waterfront community was shattered last night by gunfire that came from the water. When the dust settled, 8 people were shot, 3 of them are dead, and at least 1 is now clinging for their life. I want to tell you that the group of people that stand behind me now awoke this morning with a firm resolve to seek maximum justice in this case. I will tell you that the men and women of law enforcement worked quickly and in team-like fashion to give us the tools that we need to be effective in a courtroom. And that process will begin literally tomorrow with the first appearance of Nigel Edge. Now, there's a lot that prosecutors under the rules of North Carolina's professional rules are not permitted to say. We can talk a lot more about process than we can about facts. But you know something about the core nucleus of operative facts. I want to tell you a little bit about what the road ahead looks like. But before I do that, let me say first and foremost that my office prides itself on something that we refer to as the police prosecutor team approach. It's a highly collaborative process that requires us at the front end to work very closely. I personally arrived at the scene at about 11 o'clock last night. I saw with my own eyes the horror which has occurred in this case. I was joined by my first assistant, Jenna Early, my investigator, Charlie Lyles, and I'm so grateful for the incredible law enforcement response, the incredible response to the first arriving medical folks who did their best to limit further damage and loss of life. It was really heartening to witness that play out in real time. So tomorrow we are going to be in a courtroom, and for the first time, we're going to be able to talk about the facts. In the fullness of time, the truth will emerge in a courtroom. That's where I'm going to be doing the majority of my talking. He will be given a first appearance. He is currently charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. I anticipate that additional charges could be forthcoming. And so we are going to be moving forward in that process tomorrow. He is currently held without bond. It is my hope and expectation that that will remain tomorrow and throughout this process. I will say that North Carolina is a state for which the death penalty is a potential, and my office does seek it in appropriate cases. I want you to know that there is a process in place within my office to scrupulously review the facts and circumstances of every homicide offense that comes through our door. I have a team of senior prosecutors that meet as part of a death penalty review committee, and we make sure that we thoroughly evaluate the facts and the law on a case-by-case basis. We do that to ensure that we make our decisions on the basis of the fact and law and not emotion, because it should go without saying, this is a very emotional time for a lot of people. And we want to continue to embrace the process that has served us so well over the 15 years that I've been fortunate enough to be your elected district attorney. To sort of paint the picture of what occurred last night, the incident location where this occurred, the American Fish Company, which I've already indicated to you was quite literally the backdrop for the movie Safe Haven, had live music going on last night. There is an outdoor deck which faces the water, and there was a lot of people out there last night just enjoying live music under the stars. The thread that connects everyone who's a victim in this case to this point just appears to be a love of having a good time and enjoying all that Southport has to offer. Sadly, a lot of the victims in this case appear to be not members of our community, but people who are here on vacation. And just to anticipate one of the questions that I imagine that you have, that's one of the very reasons why when we took out these warrants early this morning, we used only initials for people's names rather than their full name. Some of the victims' families live out of state. And as district attorney, I wanted to ensure that we made proper notifications to them before they're hearing about it on the news. And so that is one of the reasons why the arrest warrants that you have contain only initials at this juncture. Tomorrow, I expect you're going to be hearing more about potentially the identity of some of the victims, and you're going to hear more of the facts that underlie the investigation. But I can't overstate how quickly this investigation unfolded. Very heartened by the fact that law enforcement was able to make an immediate apprehension I'm confident, based on what I now know, that we got the right guy and that he acted alone. I will tell you that we asked for some grace because we're only in the first 14 hours of this investigation. And in my experience as being a prosecutor, and I'm now in my 30th year of being a prosecutor, facts frequently change, they evolve. And so I allow for the possibility that we're going to learn substantial new information in the coming days and weeks. But having said that, I think we now know a core nucleus of operative facts. And I feel very confident as I stand before you today that law enforcement has given us the tools that we need to be effective. With that, we will entertain a couple of questions, again, with the guardrails in place being facts are still being developed, and there's a lot we can't say consistent with the ethical rules under 3.8 and 3.6. So are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. In fact, he did. Mr. Nile Edge actually changed his name some years ago. And so we are looking to identify, all of his past. And there's going to be questions about his past. Chief Morris already said that he's a resident of Oak Island, and he was well known to law enforcement. He wasn't quite as well known in the criminal court system. There are some minor contacts over the years, but nothing significant in his past which would give us any indication that he was capable of such horror. There have been a number of civil suits that he's instituted against people, and he's had some minor brushes with the law, but to this point, we're unaware of any significant criminal history. Again, we're going to check out of state, and it's early on in the investigation, but as I stand before you today, I'm unaware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think this is kind of a one?
Yeah, so the question is this common in our area? I'll tell you that violent crime is virtually non-existent in the city of Southport. This is an idyllic waterfront community that really enjoys a reputation for being a very peaceful and tranquil place. Again, I've been a prosecutor for 30 years. I've started out my career in Miami, Florida, and then I was for a decade an assistant district attorney in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm not unacquainted with violent crime. Bad things happen to good people wherever you live, and I'm reminded of that today. But this would be remarkable anywhere, but particularly in a place that was called Safe Haven. Yes, sir. So the question was asked, is there a motive at this point? And let me be clear, people frequently want to know what happened and why. As prosecutors in a courtroom, we have to prove intent. Intent and motive are very different things. We don't actually have to prove motive. We don't know why people do what they do. You can chase the ghost of why all over a courtroom and never catch it. That's going to be part of a comprehensive investigation as we look towards his reason for doing this, but we have to prove criminal intent and not motive. Yes, ma'am. So that's a fact-specific question. I'm going to allow Chief Poring to talk a little bit more about the facts if that's something that he chooses to do. But I hope you understand as a prosecutor, I can't answer that. But Chief, is there anything you want to say about firearms?
Again, it's early in the investigation, but we know that it's an assault rifle. But I have not looked at anything else pertaining to the weapons right now.
Chief Morris, is there anything more you can say about you guys?
So, yes, we were familiar with Sean as he has been a resident of Oak Island for several years. He frequently hung out on our pier. Our employees knew him. And so, yeah, we were just familiar with him. He has filed a lawsuit, numerous lawsuits on the town, on the police department within the last couple years. Yes, sir. Yes, he has. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so we executed a search warrant last night in collaboration with the SBI in Southport and the sheriff's office, and his vehicle was searched along with his boat and residence. And I won't go into specifics about what was recovered. However, there were firearms, and if the SBI would like to elaborate on that a little more, since they are the agency that took possession of those weapons, I'll let them discuss that.
Doing when he was. Coast Guard rifles. Was he going out of the water, or was he getting ready to? Up into the water?
Yeah, so the question is, when he was encountered by the Coast Guard and law enforcement, what was he doing? That information was put out last night about the boat, which is very vague. That's a very vague description. There was no other descriptions other than a white center console boat that we were able to push out. Our Coast Guard partners, which the Coast Guard station is in very close proximity to here, were patrolling the area along with the sheriff's office. And as they were patrolling, they located a white boat at our boat access, our 55th Street boat access. At the time of his encounter, he was loading the boat up, and then that's when we engaged him in a conversation and ultimately took him or detained him and then ultimately took him into custody.
He lives on Oak Island, or is small?
Yes, he is a resident that lives on the island. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to speak on that. I'll let Chief Coring or the SBI will defer that question to them. Thank you. Yes. No, I don't have that. Chief Coring would be more appropriate to answer that question.
Chief, let me say something.
Yes.
Wrap it up. Or Todd, did you want to say something? I think it's important to let you know why it is we have so many different law enforcement agencies at a local level assembled behind us. Brunswick County is the fastest growing of the 100 counties in North Carolina. We have 60 miles of coastline and 19 municipalities. Several of those municipalities have sufficient tax base to be able to afford their own local law enforcement agencies. And so the sheriff's office blankets the entire county. They have overlapping and concurrent jurisdiction over everything that happens in the municipalities. And one of the unique features of this case is that the shooting occurred in the city limits of Southport, but the apprehension happened in Oak Island for a resident that lives in Oak Island. There's going to be a very comprehensive investigation that takes place, not only by the sheriff's office that blankets the entire county, but also by the State Bureau of Investigation. They are an assisting agency, and at my request and in that of Todd Coring and Sheriff Brian Chisholm, they were asked to come in last night and assist us in processing the crime scene and conducting critical interviews. So that's the team of people that we have assembled. And again, I know that there's going to continue to be a lot of questions on people's minds about what has occurred, and those answers will emerge in the fullness of time. But I want to circle back to where we started, which is keeping the victims and their families in the thoughts and prayers of all of us in this community. This is truly a devastating incident. For those of us, we're not just professionals, we're residents of Brunswick County. And our hearts and prayers are with the people that not only live here, but just enjoy our space. They are, some of them are literally fighting for their life right now in hospital rooms. So please continue to lift them up and keep them in your thoughts and prayers, them and their families. There's going to be a lot of vicarious trauma, and the ripple effects of crime cannot be overstated. This impacts, not just the people that were shot, but their families, this community, indeed this nation. Yes, sir. We'll take one more question.
It was said that he's hanging out in the water like an hour before this. Was he waiting for something, a moment or something? Yeah.
So the question was he waiting in this water? And you're going to hear a little bit more about that in a courtroom tomorrow, but it's already been said during this conference that we have developed evidence at an early stage that this was highly premeditated in nature. And you're going to hear more about that in the road ahead. Guys, thank you. We appreciate your time.